Hello there. This is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Once again, the guest tonight is Cousin T Taw, and this joint is Body Game with Cousin T Taw, the Roughnecks. So, what's up, Cousin T Taw? How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Salute to everybody. As always, salute to the loyal supporters, salute to the Patreon, and to everyone who's going to like, share, and subscribe as a result of this great information. So whenever you're ready to start, we can get into this version of Body Game, because as people may already know and remember from previous drops we've done, we are always covering various masculine body types. And today we are getting to the sweet spot of the prototypical masculine body type that is universal to what is masculine, what is attractive, what is arousing, because of how it is set up.
Oh, yeah. And that's the roughneck. Because this is the real, because, the thing is, we've talked about the ASPs and the peak athletes, but that's a small percentage of the population. That's not like common. You can go years without seeing an ASP, even if you work out in the gym on a regular basis. You might be lucky to see one, and women especially, they're only going to see an ASP every now and then. They might have to pay to see an ASP, but you got some guys out here tearing up the Roughnecks. Now, why don't you let us know who you call the Roughnecks?
Well, so first of all, a little history behind why I identify the body type or the body aesthetic of Roughneck. If anybody is a 90s baby, anybody can remember two music artists, one by the name of and I'll share the screen really quickly here, just to give people a visual of what I'm talking about. One by the name of MC Lyte. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
She did a song, called Roughneck, and during this time period, the quote unquote roughneck stature or aesthetic and mentality and roughneck style of masculinity was all the rave. There was an entire wave and movement of this body type, particularly in the Black community. But you know how the wave goes, okay? Mm-hmm. When a trend starts somewhere, it moves throughout various cultures, okay? And the second female artist from that same time period, actually these songs were released within 3 years of each other, was of course Adina Howard. Okay, now this song is Freak Like Me. Now I want to make sure that I put the artist and information out there so people who are curious as to what these songs sound like, type in these names, type in the names of these songs, and you will get a soliloquy to the Roughneck, okay? And interestingly enough, in this song, Freak Like Me by Adina Howard, she mentioned that the Roughneck was the type of guy who could say she needed the Roughneck above, because if you remember in the 90s, from mid to late 80s through the 90s into the early 2000s, it was all about that, the barge aesthetic. It was all about that light-skinned guy. It was all about that. But as the hip-hop era moved on, as popular culture started to embrace this particular aesthetic, the aesthetic of the Roughneck, the men who had the stature of the Roughneck, that prototype, came into vogue. Okay, and so what really is the Roughneck aesthetic? I'm going to share the screen again, and we're going to go through a few popular professional body types that embody the Roughneck aesthetic. Okay, starting with this one right here, your fireman. All right, now you see this gentleman. This is the kind of guy that you want rushing into a building to save your your family, to save, what's valuable to you, because he has the build that could move things out the way. He can swing that axe through the door. He can, search and rescue. He can pull out, injured people. Durable, fit, and ready to take care of the job. So to get a sense of what that would look like in terms of dimensions, right? We always talk about how the alpha showpiece prototype is somebody who's 6 foot tall, 6 foot and above, about 200, 210 pounds, obviously solid muscle, exposed abs, etc. V taper. Now, the roughneck aesthetic actually starts at about 5 feet, 5'2", 5'4". The sweet spot for the roughneck aesthetic is actually about 5'7" to 5'9", which is the average height. Go ahead.
Whoa. Hold up, man. I thought it was over if a man is under 6 feet.
Not even close.
I'm just being playing around with that. I be telling guys that and stuff. I mean, it's the body. Get the body right, shoot. And the roughnecks be tearing up. But go ahead, man. Start some shit
there. And so this is just the first part of this discussion. We want to get down to the metrics because we're talking to men, all right? We speak in numbers and dimensions, so we get a sense of what we're talking about. So, like I said, the sweet spot for height for the roughneck is between, I would say 5'7" and 6'2". 6'2" on the high end. The reason why I say 6'2" is on the high end and the sweet spot really is between 5'7" and 5'9", 5'10", is because the roughneck has a lower center of gravity. Whereas when you talk about the type of athletic to aesthetic physique build of an alpha showpiece, okay, 6 foot and above, V taper in the middle, that flares out to, strong and even, more wiry legs. The roughneck, his center of gravity is right in the middle. He has a lower center of gravity because he is doing heavy lifting. He is doing the pulling. He is doing the pushing. And this second or third, fourth, and fifth slide will show a great example of just that aesthetic. And here we have the construction worker. Now, obviously, we picked somebody who had a beard because you put a beard on almost any guy, okay? And that's going to, maximize his masculine presentation.
Oh yeah, this is coming back. I just shaved it off on my birthday. So.
Right, exactly. And so these pictures, and obviously guys can, or people can take a snapshot of these examples that we're presenting, just to show how diverse this particular aesthetic is. Now, construction workers are all over the planet, in every single ethnic background, every single culture, and every single developed and developing nation. This is because the roughneck truly is the backbone of society. You find them in the majority of the classes, the labor class, the skilled tradesman, the manager class, okay? When a roughneck ascends through his career, he goes from the laborer to the skilled tradesman into management because he's put in the work. He prefers to put in the work. You want to talk about what the most valuable asset that the roughneck has? That is his utility. That is his ability to terraform the environment. He is the one who puts hand to earth and is capable of building, is capable of transforming, is capable of moving, pushing, and pulling. And now I'm going to show you a third example of this particular aesthetic in the physical realm, just so that guys can round out the sort of dimensional reference point. And that, of course, is the truck driver, okay? And like I said, this particular example shows a guy who's clearly, in the 6 foot range. You can see the wheels of the truck and how high he's coming above the hood, before the cab of this particular truck. But that is the quintessential roughneck aesthetic. The protector, provider imagery of the masculine aesthetic is what comes to mind when you have these guys in mind.
Well, hold up, because I already know some detractors be like, well, he got a gut on him. He don't have six-pack abs and stuff. Why would a woman want him? Even though that dude probably got about 5 kids and a maybe.
Easily.
I actually knew a guy. He was a truck driver. He was a auto worker. He was a big old. He was a big old dude and stuff. You wouldn't mistake him for a fashion model, but he had 5 kids and a maybe. He said he ain't sure about it, but you know what? He'll take care of the kid. But that's going to be the biggest argument and stuff, because they're going to say, well, wow, don't you and Cousin T Taw talk about body game and ASPs? What's all these roughnecks and stuff? How would you address those guys?
Well, remember, the roughneck aesthetic, these are the movers of earth. These are the terraformers of environments. So they are adept at lifting objects off the ground, okay? Women love men who can lift them off the ground. And that's the first thing that comes to mind when a woman views a man with the roughneck aesthetic, okay? Think about the majority of women. The majority of women don't look like Brittany Renner. The majority of women don't look like, a beauty queen. The majority of women don't have that Victoria's Secret body. They have IG models on the spectrum. And gradually that IG model aesthetic is getting larger and larger. As long as they get that tummy tucked in, those thighs are getting wider, those hips are getting wider. The women's lower half, the extremities, are getting larger and larger. As long as they keep that, they're focusing in on keeping that waist tight with the waist trainer and everything like that. It's just a redistribution of their weight. The majority of the women who are on IG now, with the sports, quote unquote, sports model physique, who are showing off these, Brazilian done bodies and these, extreme aesthetics. They started out as 5'6", 5'5", 5'4", 180 pounds, maybe 190 pounds. They ended up the same height and the same weight. It was just redistributed from around their belly area and their love handles area to their hips and their thigh area. So the weight is still there. It's just redistributed. What average guy who does not fit that aesthetic of the roughneck, the movers of the world, the firemen who can, move heavy objects out of the way and rescue people from a burning building, the construction worker who pours concrete, who can move cinder blocks, who's building these skyscrapers, the truck driver who moves thousands of pounds of freight, okay, every day, all day. What guy outside of that particular aesthetic can easily move a 150 plus pound woman with ease?
Well, I want to address that because I never forget, and I've talked about it a couple times on a video. This is a sister. She's about a good 5. She's 5'8", 5'9". I'm gonna say 5'8", 5'9". Big girl, but she's shapely though. And she had this big 6'9", big old dude. He wasn't no necessarily ASP. He was more just big. I said, you got that big man because he can flip it. And she started laughing, gave me a high five. I know this other sister, she was about 5'10" and stuff. She needed NFL linemen and stuff. And what she said to me specifically, Rom, I need somebody who can flip me. A lot of men don't understand that one simple thing. Women want to be picked up. They want to be manhandled. And they want to feel like the dainty one. Now, like you said, if you check out the women who most popular on IG, it's rare that they slim. Even Brittany Renner, I mean, she getting a lot of attention, but then there's a lot of guys who's like, whatever. She needs some cheeseburgers. So it's like, if you look at men, I've seen some women. There's some women that I follow. They be all up in the gym. They bragging about how much weight they put on.
Right.
They be
Leg
squatting.
press.
Yeah, they be squatting everything, and he's letting people know. But they don't want some guy that they feel like they bigger than. See, that's the one thing. See, people got to understand one thing. Men got to understand one thing about women. I don't care who they are. They want to feel secure with a man. And
right. They want to feel smaller.
Yeah. I don't care who it is. No matter how big they are, they want it. Now, you get some women, they'll still deal with a smaller guy if they have no other options. But if they got a choice, though, well, that dude need to throw them around. You know, they want that dude to go and dominate, smack that ass and all of that. And see, that people got to remember, this is the practical thing. But go on, keep going, because you talking about center of gravity and stuff. The guys are like, what, center of gravity?
So, I mean, now, obviously, this is something that we talk about on the Patreon side, because when we talk about the physicality of the intimate space, any experienced man who has had a woman with a larger lower half knows that when it starts feeling good to her, she starts doing what we call throwing it back. All right. Yeah. Now this is for the island guys too. Anybody who's done any type of dance and back that ass up or whatever. When a woman of that caliber starts to throw it back when you're in the intimate space, if you don't have a good lower center of gravity, if you don't have strong leg muscles, if you're not braced against the headboard, or if you're not standing up, if you're not in the wheelbarrow position, okay, let me not go too far as YouTube, but if you do not have a good solid stance, you will be thrown. Imagine that. Imagine being thrown by the woman that you're there to quote unquote dominate. You were there to match energy with. You are there to show her your masculine prowess. Imagine, a few humps in and she tosses you off like a bucking bronco, okay? Hey. A man with a lower center of gravity, he's right there with her, meeting her pelvis to tailbone and giving it right back to her.
Hey, that was some early game I learned from some older women. They said, they be like, they'll talk about, sometimes they'll tell you about some dude. They say, you know what, got with him, I threw him off. And they would say it just like that. He couldn't handle it. Or they left, it was something going back to when I was a little boy. And it was the story of Dolomite. And at the time, I ain't see that movie or anything, but this, they were talking about a guy, Dolomite, and he got with this woman and she left him 9 strokes behind and stuff from an early age. A lot of guys ain't getting sex like that. That's why they don't know. But the woman wants to be dominated. And so you got these women, they got that big old fat ass. Shoot, they want somebody gonna be like, right up on it and everything. Dude.
So that's where that gut comes in handy. Now, we're not talking about outrageous beer gut or whatever, but it's just physics, okay? Well, when we talk about a more muscular guy or an athletically built guy, okay, we're linemen, we're receivers, we're, track and field runners and throwers or whatever. So our muscle memory kicks in. But for the average guy, they are not prepared for a lot of women, the diverse sort of physicality of women today. And we're just talking about women who are just naturally curvy, to women who squat in the gym, to women who are dancers, to women who are athletes. That's a whole spectrum of women who fall outside of that model physique or that traditional model physique. You got this entire spectrum of women who could potentially put you on your ass in the bedroom.
Well, and you know what? And see, that was the thing, though, man. Because I ain't gonna lie, I be following a lot of different types of women on IG, and they do be hitting those squats. They do be hitting it in the gym. Like there's some young ladies at my gym. They taking turns on that squat thing. They taking turns on that.
They'll fight you for the squat rack. They'll fight you over a squat rack. Yeah.
No, they will. Hey, I almost got cut by this some woman one time. She thought I was cutting in line. No, she was like, she didn't care how big I was. She was like, oh no, I'm right there. No, they be going crazy, and this across races, man.
Yeah.
White girls, shoot. I'd be seeing some women. I might see them the first time, don't have it. Seriously, they be doing like I don't know what that's called, where they kind of on the bench and they got like a weight bar and stuff. They doing those
hip thrusts.
Yeah, and I'm just like, damn. And this is, I mean, it'd be across ages and everything. And they want to make sure, but see, they want a man who can handle that. Because you got some guys out here, they ain't hitting the gym or anything. The women immediately, they're not going to be immediately attracted to that guy. They not. And they, like I said, they might still mess with them if they lack options, but let some roughneck come by, let some firemen come by who are at lunch, or let them walk by the construction site.
Exactly.
Yeah, they might be slow about coming home, or, you know, dude, he double back home one day, you know what's going to happen. Walk in there and see somebody yelling and stuff, and dude look back, some big old construction dude look back, be like, my bad. Or some trucker coming from out of town and stuff. It's like, why is this 18-wheeler parked out here? That's a real talk, though. I mean, we making light of it, but a lot of men don't understand that women are definitely checking out physicality and stuff. They definitely looking at that. I mean, I remember I had one woman I was dealing with for a bit. I'm already a big dude. She looked me dead in the eye and said, I'm gonna put 40 pounds on. I'm like, what?
Right. And that's a great segue into the next part. Mm-hmm. And that's the relationship aspect of it. You mentioned when a woman's looking at a man, she's sizing him up. If you remember the 5 F's, okay? The 5 F's that a woman puts the average man through when they're walking down the street. As soon as a woman, you know how they say a woman knows within the first, encounter, or the first few minutes of encountering a man, or even 15 seconds of encountering a man, whether or not she's going to sleep with them. That's the first F. Remember, the 5 F's. Can I fuck him? Can I finesse him? Can he feed me? Can he father my kids? Or can I forget this ever happened? Okay. The thing about the men with the roughneck aesthetic, those are the ones that get wifed up the most, because they have that home body. They have that dad bod already there. So if she's the type of woman who has been with a roughneck, and keep in mind, when we talk about imprinting a woman early on, the roughneck is the guy who maybe in the younger years could talk to the female, the particular female, because larger guys, or medium-sized to larger guys, tend to be more personable. They tend to have more of a personality. They tend to laugh more. They tend to be the ones cracking jokes in the back of the classroom. But really, the physical presence of the roughneck, mm-hmm. part of the name roughneck comes from the type of dude that'll be the ride or die dude. A lot of the hitters, a lot of the warriors are mm-hmm. of the roughneck aesthetic, and so that's an advantage that men who fit in that spectrum have over a lot of guys. So you're not only that protector, provider, utility, but you also have a lot of guys with that roughneck aesthetic who are personable, who are the type of guys who are peacemakers as well. Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, and this could take us. I ain't gonna go into the metaphysics of it, but when you do have those guys, what you said about the personable thing, if you look at like the real players, not what some people online think are the men getting the women or all the women. You look at the real players. Like when I was in Houston for that self-improvement summit, we were at a club. And I never forget this big old dude, he was just straight macking. I mean, he was grinding up on women's butts and everything. And as big as people think I am, this dude was bigger. But I was watching him get numbers and everything. And when you said about that personable thing, if you honestly out there, the serious guys who really get in play ain't like the small dudes. Now, to be clear, these ain't like some overweight, obese dudes. These look like the fullbacks, the running backs, the linebacker type of dudes and stuff. Dudes look like, you know, if y'all were playing football, you get in the pit with them, oh yeah, they'll knock you out and stuff. So they still have some athletic ability. These ain't some guys, people be surprised. You know, you get them in a sprint against anybody except a sprinter. Oh, they'll hang with them. They'll hang with them and stuff. So they still in some type of shape too. You know, they ain't gonna be that model type, and yeah, they gotta get some bigger clothes, but they'll have that physicality. But the person, they cool, they comfortable with it. I joke about that sometimes, you know. We can talk about like eating well and everything. They throwing down on a barbecue and stuff, man. You want this, man? And
listen,
let me be practical. Real quick, then let you get your point in. When I've noticed, I peeped that when I've like talked to actual players, and when that's just some guys telling me they plays, you watching the women, or you talk to some women and they say, "Oh, this the guy." Or you talk to some guys out here got multiple kids and stuff. These ain't like some model looking dudes. I mean, that's just a reality. That's just the reality and stuff. In fact, when Iyanla did that thing, she did that thing talking about these men who had multiple kids. It was mostly roughnecks. It was mostly roughnecks. But what were you going to say, man?
Yeah. It was what, 6 guys who fathered 87 kids or something like that on Economic Van Sant. But no, I was going to say, I'm willing to bet that if by the time you put this video out, or prior to putting this particular presentation out, if you put up a poll, a YouTube poll, or on your women's channel, how many women's first 3 sexual encounters were with a roughneck? And you don't have to describe what a roughneck, because women know what a roughneck is. Women already know, and they understand the roughneck aesthetic. If you put that out there, you know, was a roughneck one of your first 3 encounters? Yes, no, or other, or something like that. I guarantee that more than 50% of the women, within their first 3 bodies, within their first 3 sexual encounters, meaning part of their imprint is a roughneck guy.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you what though, I actually did a video on my women's channel where I asked the women what they preferred, and a sizable number of them said stocky. A sizable number, and it was like, yeah, you gotta have some meat on them, and of course, he needs to, clean up good and all of that, but they want that size. People don't realize. See, I'm gonna tell you what. See, part of the issue is the media wants to promote a certain aesthetic because they're making money off of it. That's just the reality. And even with the model thing, if you notice, women don't be going crazy over the models, but if you go on some of those IG thirst pages where they have men, they always go crazy over the roughneck. And this is a real thing. But see, that goes against some media stuff. Let's be real. Let's just be rough with it. There's some racial chauvinism in there as well. Which surprised me, because I've known some construction working, white guys and stuff. They ain't worried about women and stuff. So it's like, it's still the same thing. And just to be clear, like we're saying, we're not saying the guy is like obese and ain't athletic and can barely move. You still got to have a basic frame. You still got to have a strong frame. And in fact, usually he still he need to have some strong arms. They can't be all flabby and stuff, strong chest, shoulders, and all of that. Just some women like that little bit of gut though, because I remember I shared a TikTok a supporter sent me, and this woman is like, "Oh no, that's like." She didn't want a slim guy. She said, no, she wanted a little bit of cushion. It's like, oh.
Absolutely. I mean, they call them their teddy bear. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just like we call women with, a little size to a big sexy. They call the roughneck guys their teddy bear, their big teddy bear. So they're names that go either way, with this particular dynamic. And part of the allure to the roughneck is because he's approachable. He's accessible. And I know, like you said, in this particular culture, this brand new, this newer culture that we have, the rare cases seem attainable, or what was once completely out of a person's league. That's what people want to shoot for. Okay, this manifest whatever. But what they don't realize is those guys that fit the ASP aesthetic are rare for a reason. Okay. Yeah. Attaining to that, maintaining that, then you have to deal with the ego. Okay. You have to deal with the roster and the rotation. Whereas with the roughneck, you absolutely know what you're getting. And a lot of women find themselves pleasantly surprised because of the fact that he's the type of guy who will go work an honest day, bring home an honest day pay, turn on anime, break out the comic books, watch reality TV right alongside her, talk shit about the characters, get into the things. He's more traditional. He fits into the cultural calendar, whatever background that particular woman is. Mm-hmm. All in all, he is the go-to package. You can call the roughneck the go-to guy. Okay, women who can appreciate the type of guy who they can come home to. They're not out trying to live some extravagant, extra over the top. He is the low-key guy. He is the chill on the weekend guy under a blanket watching cartoons guy. He's the let's eat this bowl of cereal type of guy. But he also can dress it up. That you see these bigger guys or the roughneck guys in the summertime. What do they always have with them? They always have a towel with them. Okay, They always have a towel and a freshen up kit. They had that freshen up kit in the car. Okay, so they always make sure that they're smelling good because they know they grew up with this body. They grew up with this aesthetic, and so they understand what it takes to maintain, a level of presentation. And what's crazy is they're actually comfortable chatting with really attractive women. If you notice, if you're in the club or at a situation, office party or whatever, he's not trying to necessarily hit on the hot chick. He's just having a good time with her. He's ragging on her. He's talking about the bartender. He's talking about the boss. He's having a genuine time with a variety of women, which again plays into his ability to be approachable. Whereas an ASP, a guy who knows he looks good or whatever, may not necessarily be as approachable to the majority of women. And that's a huge advantage that a man who fits that roughneck archetype has over other men.
Well, you know what? I said I wasn't going to go deep, but I'm going to go deep because one of my general bodies of knowledge has to deal with the Chinese Bagua. And one of the Bagua sons is Earth Yang. And Earth Yang, otherwise are known as the lover. When you have a man who fits that Chinese sign, that Bagua, they're lovers. Now they are like mountains, but solid mountains and everything, but very personable. Because that's the one key, because they're comfortable with themselves. Like I've talked about big man game before, they're very comfortable. They don't care that she's fine. They don't care if she is Victoria's Secret. They don't care if she got like some big old following on IG. They gonna be like, shoot, hey, shoot, girl, hey, you want some of these wings with me or something? Shoot, let's get some of this. And they'll just be chilling. And see, people don't realize that that's a big part of it, because they comfortable. Think about it on many levels. The average person ain't gonna fuck with them in the street. So as a man, they can walk down the street, people gonna move out their way. Or they're gonna think about it before stepping to them. So they ain't worried about that. They so personable, they don't care about talking. They ain't intimidated by that one. Like, man, she's small, man. I'll pick her up and spin her around or something. And that does a lot. So the woman, she feeling comfortable. She feeling like this big old dude can protect her. But then he ain't all nervous talking to her. He's just shooting the breeze with her and everything. And that's something that's with that Chinese sign, Earth Yang. So I can take it even deeper, but I'll save that for another time. But people don't realize that, because like you said, when they see the man, they sizing him up, they feeling something. Women look at the whole picture. And if he's confident, as long as he's confident in himself. And I'm gonna tell you something, on a practical level, it's very, very rare I've encountered a roughneck type who had trouble with women. You know, not saying they necessarily womanize this, but at least have a girlfriend or something. Now, I've encountered a few, but usually the few I encountered, they still probably could have lost maybe 20 pounds or something like that. Like maybe just minor like alterations or something, and then their self-esteem. But even they had some women still looking at them and stuff. And I think one of the things is, like I said, when you look at the media and everything else, they try to give you the impression of something else, but see, they making money off of it. Hey, use this dyed product and everything. Use this. Hey, wear these type of clothes and stuff. And in fact, I would say this: men shouldn't like use male models as an example any damn way, because they just. I know somebody who's modeled and stuff. She said she was like, "Nah, they just clothes hangers and everything." You know?
Right, and that's a good point. And I want to touch on what you just said about modern media, because it's a hyper compressed, highly filtered, version, like a caricaturized version of reality. Mm-hmm. And one of the best reasons why we do presentations like this is to bring men back to reality. Exactly. Because over the last 10 years, specifically in the last 5 years, a lot of men who would have traditionally had the confidence to approach, to meet, and to couple with, women who they were compatible with, are either too intimidated by the social media portrayal of the average woman, or they're caught up in the social media hype of believing that they have to fit a certain aesthetic in order to be worthy or to qualify for even average women. And that's not true. That does not align with reality. And so when we do presentations like this, what I really want to, pair what you're saying and really drive home is that how you show up in reality is what you have to present to a potential woman that you desire to acquire. And the first thing that you have to do is get comfortable with who you truly are. Really get to know who you really are and maintain that. Put the best presentation with what you have together first before you absorb all of the stereotypical marketing that the modern media puts out and portrays and tries to sell you on, because they're literally trying to sell a product. They're trying to sell you on you not being enough. And the most important thing about being a man is to know that you are enough.
Exactly. And that's the thing. See, people got to remember that. See, as long as they keep you thinking, oh yeah, you need this product, you need this powder, you need this, you need to be wearing these type of clothes. Oh, you're going to get caught up, but you're not going to get caught up in what you actually are. Because a lot of these guys, there's a whole bunch of guys, women checking them out and everything. That's why I tell guys to go out, actually talk to some actual players. Go out in public, go to the malls, any place public or something. Like after the summit, I told people, hey, take one trip into find a nightclub in your area and just sit, get a drink, chill out, and just watch what's happening. It's right out there. We're not saying anything, just blowing smoke. We actually go out here. We actually know what we're experiencing and everything, And if they see it ASP, oh yeah, they go crazy over them and everything. But how often are you going to see that? I mean, you said it one time. Remember when you first introduced ASPs, and I said 5%. You corrected. You said, no, Ron, it's 1%.
It's just like what percentage of the female population are actual dimes, are actual dime pieces, and how often does the majority of the population encounter these dime pieces? They're in the high rise, they're off on an island, they're they're moving from here to there, or they're too paranoid to come out and interact, understandably, because they get approached, they get really just people want a piece of them, even if it's just for a minute, even if it's just to now take a picture or take a video and say, hey, I this is somebody I ran into or I saw or whatever, and that fits right back into the approachability of someone who is down to earth, someone who has that utility aesthetic, someone who has that earth mover and terraformer aesthetic and mentality. I'm here to get the job done, and don't let this brother know how to dance. Okay, in Chicago we step. Okay, and I know that in DC you go. Could you imagine a roughneck who can go? Okay, he getting all of them.
Oh, women love that. He looked like he could throw it. They checking. They say, oh wait, he looked like he can throw it. And they even getting into how he moved. He moving with some power and everything. I mean, people gotta realize women, they emotional, but at the deepest level, they pragmatic. Who can get the job done? If you're talking about sex, who look like he gonna lay him out? He gonna get on top of it. He gonna throw it at it. He gonna throw them at them. And then get up and go hit the factory. In fact, I tell you a roughneck. This is a taller roughneck. People went crazy over Winston Duke from Black Panther.
Yeah, right.
Women went crazy over him. Women went crazy. I'd never forget that. I remember there was a meme going around. A woman wrote it. She said she had this picture. She said he looked like the type of guy you have about a bunch of kids with, but she can't tell him no. So, and then he'll go out, be working all the shifts and everything.
Right, exactly. And we got another one to add officially to the roughneck aesthetic as of Sunday. Here we go. Good old dollar and 50 cent now. He used to be 50 cent. Now he's dollar and 50 cent. So you can bring him officially into the roughneck crew now. I don't think he's lacking in the women department, though.
I'm going to tell you what, though. And see, some people, if they look at me, that's a prototypical roughneck right there. He ain't looking like no pretty boy or something like that. And he look like he go out there, get that money, talk his stuff and everything. But he ain't never complained about women. That's the prototypical roughneck.
Exactly.
That's the prototypical roughneck. And guys gotta understand it, because I know there's some guys, they probably got the roughneck in them naturally, but they say, nah, shoot, I gotta get all tiny and everything, or I gotta do all that. Say no, shoot, just hey, you can still work out and do all that stuff, but if you got that size on you, shoot, you got those 17, 18-inch guns on you, shoot, you got those strong legs and stuff. As long as the belly ain't going like hanging down past your waist, that strong man look. It's like you ain't gonna have trouble with any women. Shoot, some of them, they might be trying to put some weight on you and stuff. Like, that's no joke. But it's as long as you doing what you're supposed to do. It's form and function. That's it. But we could probably do another hour why that's not promoted. Ving Rhames from Baby Boy and stuff.
Right.
Shoot.
Yeah, the vast majority of singers from the 60s and 70s and early 80s were all roughneck size, overweight size. The Isley Brothers, Barry White. Okay,
Barry White.
You got so many crooners that particular aesthetic was a part of their presentation. That was a part of their image. Okay, and for any of them to have lost a significant amount of weight, that would have changed their cash flow. Okay, women look when you show up as your authentic self. Imagine Barry White not showing up as Barry White. Okay, he lost money. Rest in peace. So take
Barry.
that. Exactly. Women knew him as the sex. You want to talk about sex symbol? Okay, everything about him, his voice, his size, his personality, obviously his artistry and singing capability, but his presence, his ownership of his presence. Now, how did he get into his mind? Oh, I need to look like Michael Jackson, or I need to look like, you know what I'm saying, Al Green or somebody else. He'd have lost all his money. He would not have been who he presented himself as. And that's the most important takeaway. Once you own yourself, you own who you are, and you present that to the potential woman that you desire to acquire, and she feels that you are being authentic, you are being your authentic self, she is going to give you a try. She's going to be curious. You're piquing her curiosity. She's going to know she's going to want to know more. She's going to want to know, where's all this confidence coming from?
That's the
because
key.
Consciousness is contagious. Confidence is contagious. I'll say it again. Confidence is contagious. And like I said, women speak on 3 different levels. Okay, on that higher level, that unspoken thing is that, oh damn, there's got to be a reason why he walking with this confidence. Okay, and she's going to be willing to go with you to figure out what you had, what you got all this confidence about. And so that's really, at the end of the day, that's really the entire sort of presentation of the roughneck. The type of guy who is built as a utility. His body can move the earth. His body can save lives. His body has the ability to make things happen, move things from one place to another. His personality is approachable. He can talk to almost anybody and be comfortable in various spaces because he knows who he is. He has grown into his own. He knows how to maintain himself and take care of himself. And he also knows how to keep things to himself. He knows how to keep things on the low. Okay. Who took the last, ribs? Okay. Who took the last or whatever? Okay. I don't know. I didn't see nothing. But he holding the extra rib for his date, or this thin woman who knows she needs a bite to eat. Okay, yeah, So let's not forget that confidence translates into the bedroom. We can't, too many presenters, too many content creators, however you want to put it out there. Too many people overlook the intimate space, and I'm actively making it a point to keep this in the forefront. Because let's be clear, the reason why I put the 5 F's that a woman puts a man through when she does that visual, reason why the first F is, can I fuck him? That's the number one sort of keeper of a woman. That is the number one force, the primary force of the magnetism for a woman to a man is his ability to satisfy her intimate desire. Yeah. Okay. And now because of the socialization and where we are in our civilization's history, we've got the other 3 to 4 F's, finesse them, feed me, father my kids, and forget that it's ever happened. But keep in mind that first F is, can he satisfy me or satisfy my intimate desires? And a man who is owning his roughneck aesthetic, who's owning his roughneck persona, that masculine presence of a capable man, a capable provider, a capable protector, and a confident personality, should have no issues approaching, chatting it up, and securing the type of woman he desires to acquire.
Exactly. And like I said, this isn't just some speculation, because I was peeping that. I was peeping like some serious players, like they didn't even tell me they were players. Women were telling me. And and they were big, they were solid, blue collar type of guys. And women were going crazy over them. All of them had that roughneck aesthetic. All of them. They had that total roughneck thing, but then the women were lined up and they didn't give a fuck who they talked to. They didn't give a fuck. They had no fear. They had that confidence, the approachability. That's a big thing. Approachability is a big thing. If a guy coming off scared or if he coming off too arrogant, like that woman shouldn't approach. Even if he could be an ASP, but if he giving off that vibe and she can't pay for him as a stripper or a gigolo, then they be the ones wondering, oh, how come I didn't get that woman? It's like you giving off that vibe. But you give off that vibe like, hey, you know what? I'm cool. They smiling, everything. And let's be clear, you're not the only one. Some other researchers have said exactly what you were saying. And if anybody go out there, you can see that. I saw that. Because I was just like, damn, as much as I talk body game, how is it these guys are getting it more? Now, they do hit the gym, let's be real. Or they do practical work. I've seen some guys like that won't set foot in the gym, but they doing physical labor and everything. They building a house. They out there, shoot, that's just as good. Or some cops,
right?
That roughneck thing. Shoot, they shoot. They got to run down somebody. They got to fight somebody. Shoot. You be looking at some of these special forces.
Right.
Special forces in military. A lot of them got that roughneck build. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of them. And some real talk. Shoot, you be seeing something like Delta. They be bearded, looking like shit. And that's some real thing. It's the function, all of that stuff, man. But exactly. You know what, Cousin T Taw, because we about ready to wind this up, but what do you think about somebody who will hear all that and say, nah, they full of it. Nah, you gotta look like Chad or Tyrone and everything. Body don't matter. What would you say to them?
I would say that they should, one, book a session with either yourself or me so we can have a real discussion, because they have a lot to unpack. That's an obvious projection. Because one of the things that I want to reiterate is that confidence is contagious. So they obviously don't have a lot of confidence in themselves. And usually when a person's saying, oh, that's not true, those kind of guys don't get women, they're literally saying that's not true. I don't get women.
Exactly.
So that was the first thing that I would say to someone like that off the bat. Second thing I would say is go through the search. If you have Instagram, go to the search option, okay, and just scroll through various accounts. You see a lot of attractive women, but a lot of the attractive women that don't have their man in the first picture, you better believe they've got a guy with a roughneck aesthetic. 3 pictures down, 4 pictures down, 5 pictures down, or whatever. If he's not up front and present in that first picture, and they can do some unofficial, unscientific, data collection themselves. Look for it yourself. The reason why we're here to teach, the reason why we're here to give men the path and the tools, is so that they have the ability to observe from the lens of the experience that we're relaying to them. Yeah. A lot of people don't see things that could be right in front of their faces until someone who has been there before comes and then enlightens them to that. So that's the second thing that I say. You don't see it because you haven't been informed that it exists. Just like women who are 8s, 9s, and 10s don't see a lot of guys. Okay, they don't see the guy who cuts the lawn per se. They don't see the guy who isn't presented in a certain way to them. That doesn't mean that those guys don't exist. That doesn't mean that they're not effective at what it is that they're there to do. And that's again why we are here. We're here to give guys the tools that they can use to make these observations in the real world for themselves, both outwardly, but before that, inwardly first. Because you never know. There are guys who are looking at this particular presentation and they look at themselves and they say, damn, I fit that roughneck persona. I fit that roughneck aesthetic. Hey, I'm an approachable guy. Man, they're talking to me, and this is what I hope we can do with this particular presentation. We can help some guys realize that, hey, you fall into an aesthetic that is so dynamic and it is so widely respected and appreciated by more women that you could possibly know. Just embrace that, embrace who you are, and go for it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the truth, because that's one thing I was peeping, and I'm glad you were able to confirm it, because I was like, you see some women, not necessarily like the 8, 9s, and 10s, but, well, actually some women who could probably make a good run at it, maybe at a gym or something, and then I see their men, and it'd be like, wait a minute, that dude, I mean, the dude lifts and can throw up the lifts, but more on the roughneck side, not the ASP, and really don't really see them outside of the diesel field. That's where you see plenty of ASPs. But if you're talking about everyday life, and you're talking about some women every day, I was like, man, they usually wear some type of roughneck.
Yeah, and just lastly, just to put a bow on it, if a guy needs to know, okay, he's listening to this presentation, he's determined that he falls into that roughneck category, he's going to ask, well, what type of woman should I go for? What type of woman is the one that's ideal as a complement to my aesthetic, to my personality and persona? First thing I will say, go for the woman who claims herself to be the ugly duckling, who grew up as the ugly duckling, and now she's blossomed, because she has that mentality that, she still has some of that self-conscientiousness, but she has that beautiful exterior, that radiant exterior. But she still has that personality that prevents her from being as forthcoming as other women who grew up as the pretty girl. Okay, so the ugly duckling that blossomed into a swan, she naturally is attracted to the roughneck aesthetic because of his approachability. Because at the school dance, he was the one that, was willing to, approach, and she probably went with him in their friend group to the school dance. So she grew up with this type of guy. So that's more of her comfort zone, even after she's blossomed into that swan. So keywords to listen to. Women type that into their profile all the time. Former ugly duckling. You can even lead a conversation with that. Obviously word it in the right way. This is why you need verbal game. But ask her, if she knows someone who was that. Women will be forthcoming with that, and that is your end.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you what. I personally know some swans right now, because just how I move about, I know some swans right now in their early 20s and stuff. And that's the type of guys they dealing with. And a lot of guys, some guys might see them in the later years and everything. But I know so many. I know it's scary. It's like you see the early pictures of them, and they be bragging sometimes on IG. Not necessarily
they'll show the before and after 10-year glow up.
Yeah. Oh man, they big with that. They'll show, some of those women with those big old butts and everything. They'll show when they were slim. They will show all of that. They didn't get attention and stuff. And those are the ones who will build into like maybe that 8 to 10 range. They'll build themselves, but when you see the before pictures, because there's a couple I follow now. One, she says she's 176. Her body is incredible, but she always shows a picture when she started out at 118, no curves at all. And the roughneck, but see, they still got that mentality and stuff. You be friendly to them. That's how sometimes you'll see like a real pretty woman with a killer body, and some other dudes will look at the dude. She's like, why is she with him? First of all, she's probably imprinted by that type of dude. To be honest,
exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
She was probably imprinted by a roughneck. A lot of women are imprinted by roughnecks. Usually the football team or, basketball team, more football
baseball,
team. Mm-hmm. Seriously. I mean, that's some real talk. Now, hey, bro, we're going to get some hate from some people. They put it because they roughnecks. Why we ain't going to listen to them. Hey, it's still Chad. It's still Chad. Whatever. Chad better not leave his girl around some roughneck.
Right, exactly. Who do you think Chad relies on for his pocket protection? Okay, on the football field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chad is relying upon those roughnecks for his pocket protection. Those key 3 seconds. So, Chad and Tyrone can appreciate the camaraderie of the roughneck crew. So, I leave it at that.
Oh yeah. So anyway, though, as always, it's great to have you. Everybody, sub Cousin T Taw. His stuff is in the description, but join his Patreon where he goes deep and everything. I want y'all to get on there. And do you have any final words, brother?
Like you said, definitely hit up the Patreon. That's where we go in depth into the physicality of the male and female reproductive health. That's a really scientific way of saying the nasty stuff. But stay tuned. I'm sure Rom is putting out the feelers and putting out the information for those who are in the know. We got a very special webinar coming up, and it's going to cover some things that are going to get really down to the most essential components of reality. So stay tuned for that.
All right, y'all. So that's all we got for now. Peace and many blessings.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.